episode of No, We're Actually Scared. We're heading to the great state of Louisiana.
On the bayou, Mama said.
In the swamp. We're going to talk about voodoo and ghost stories.
Yeah, they got a lot of things going on over there.
That state is ripe with stories of the unknown.
Let's talk some nonsense. All right, welcome to our podcast. We're going to talk about some voodoo.
Voodoo. Or hoodoo. Or voodoo.
Vodou was it? Or
Yeah, there's
something like that.
Multiple. The spelling is where it is from. So like the VODOU is Haitian. And
Okay.
the voodoo that we know, VOODOO, is like Louisiana voodoo.
I like it, little Cajun.
Lil Cajun. And it's a religion. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
Like everybody like demonizes it.
But a lot of them are Catholics.
A lot are Catholics.
So it's like a bonus religion.
A lot of it is based in Catholicism. Like there's a lot of things like with Catholicism with it.
Okay.
It originated in West Africa, in the country of Benin, and it is a religion of power and healing. So the crazy thing about voodoo too is there's no written script on it.
It's all just passed down?
It's all passed down. It's a religion of music, dance, and drums.
Yeah.
So it means spirit and fawn. So like every sect of voodoo is a little bit different.
Okay.
So they don't have like one god. Well, there is one god, but they talk to deities and they get knowledge from deities.
Right.
So you talk to anybody who practices voodoo and they'll tell you there's 201 entities to talk to or 2001. There's no set number.
Oh, geez.
So
this is all just like passed down.
It's
like,
all passed down.
kind of like every family's got some deities that
Yes.
they talk to, and
Now they have a major festival every year back in Benin, which is kind of crazy. Like there's a video online that they close out the ceremony, and it's like a hay. It's built out of hay. It's like 6 feet high.
sounds like the Wicker Man.
A little bit, but they do the dances and the drumming.
Yeah.
And they have the ceremony, and all of a sudden they're showing you that there's nobody underneath this hay bale, and it's spinning around like a top.
Oh.
And it says the spirit is inside that. It's pretty nuts to watch. Like, that's a really cool video to go watch.
I got to see that.
Yeah, it's a really cool video. Like, at the Voodoo Festival in Benin. And then, like, I forgot what the name was. But it spins that by itself, and then all of a sudden you'll see, like, the priest flip it over, and there's nobody underneath. And it'll keep spinning. Then it gets up, and they're banging the drum. And it's just spinning by itself.
What?
Yeah, it's kind of a crazy thing to go look at. It could be a magician's trick, who knows? But they say that those are the spirits underneath there. There's also a floating man too, like the levitate. There's videos online of that too.
People floating?
People floating or levitating from the power the spirits are lifting them up.
What?
Yeah, it's a crazy thing, but we'll get into it. So it originated in Africa, and we all know slavery was a thing. And during the slave trade, they ended up in like the Caribbean, South America. It was very prevalent down there. And then they were New Orleans, which is our focus today.
Right.
New Orleans was a major port to importing slaves.
Right.
So we'll go with a little bit of Haiti. And in Haiti, they say everything is poison, nothing is poison. So that means that you use something positive, it's going to be good for you.
You use something negative.
If you use something negative, it will kill you.
Right. So, like, everything exists, so why does it have to be bad? It's just how you...
So, like I said, a lot of people demonize the religion, saying that, oh, it's nothing but witch doctors, it's nothing but voodoo queens, they're putting curses on people. No, it's a religion of healing.
Right.
Like, that's what they're doing. Like, a lot of people go see, like, a voodoo queen for an ailment, a sickness, try to get you healthy. They'll pray, like, especially like voodoo dolls.
Yeah.
They'll try to target you with that. Well, there's a couple of stories. So, in the 1700s, there was a Haitian slave revolt. And it was based on a man named Bookman who sacrificed a black pig, drank its blood, and swore its allegiance to the spirit.
Holy fuck.
They ended up creating the only black republic in the middle of a slave-owning society. So you got to think about that. Everybody who was bringing slaves over got scared of voodoo, too.
So that's like an uprising. They took over, and then they did magic stuff and spooked everybody around them. And they're like, oh, fuck, I ain't messing with that.
And that's one of the reasons why voodoo is so prevalent in Haiti.
Wow.
So the old saying is Haiti is 80% Catholic, 20% Protestant, 100% voodoo. So that was a pretty cool thing I saw.
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
Yeah, they ended up doing to the beat of the drum, they would bang the drum, and they were revolting against the French in Haiti.
Oh, shit.
And it led a revolt, and then all of a sudden that became kind of like a national pride thing. So to this day, voodoo is very prevalent in Haiti.
Right, like if we overthrew the English
yes.
with like voodoo or something, then we'd all be fucking...
Voodoo is also used for bad, though.
Oh.
There was we'll say he was the president, but he was the dictator of Haiti in the 50s, 1950s.
Okay.
And he used voodoo against the people. So he would dress as the Baron Samedi.
Baron Samedi.
That's
Papa Legba or whatever from
Yes.
American Horror Story.
He was the guardian of cemeteries and the dreaded harbinger of death. So this guy used to emulate him. He would dress in the top hat. He would talk in a nasally voice, and he wreaked terror on the people of Haiti for 15 years.
Well, he was the dictator.
While he was the dictator, the president.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Real fucked up.
Yeah.
So, yeah. He used.
He kind of used the religion against them.
So there's a real deep voodoo is embedded in Haiti.
Right.
So there's a lot of shit that goes with it. We'll get into the rituals.
I'm watching this fucking thing dance around now.
Is it
in
crazy?
Benin, dude, it's wild.
Isn't that nuts?
It's wild, and then they open it and it's empty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So there's a couple of stories. So we'll get into, zombies are prevalent in
They're from voodoo.
From voodoo.
Yeah.
Right? All the zombie movies you see.
So my horror movie thing on TikTok or whatever, I was just talking about zombie, and the story makes no sense, but the Italians are just it's voodoo. It's whoa.
Yeah, and then that was another thing too. Is kind of and we'll get more into it once we get into the Louisiana. Voodoo was used kind of like a racial, kind of. It's bad, it's evil, it's witchcraft, it's demonic.
Right.
Kind of to keep it, and knowing that it was from slavery, from Africans, that it was their culture, try to separate them from their culture.
Right.
So they would try to ban it, ban the drums after the revolution, all the countries around Haiti banned, the slaves couldn't have drums now.
Oh, Jesus.
So they were outlawed. They couldn't have voodoo dolls. They couldn't practice certain religions or certain ceremonies.
They were really trying to put that as an evil thing.
They all got real evil, and they name marked it. Oh, this is evil. No good. So zombies. Here's an interesting story. In 1980, a man named Narcisse appeared in a small village in Haiti to tell his sister that he was alive. Years prior, he died.
He
died.
And he just came back and said, I'm alive?
He had a death certificate. They ruled him, a coroner ruled him dead, wrote out a death certificate, thumbprint the death certificate with his thumbprint, and they buried him. Well, a voodoo priest dug him up hours after burial, and he put him to work on his plantation for 2 years as a form of penal servitude. Is that kind of nuts?
So a voodoo priest, some guy dies, a voodoo priest digs him up and brings him back to life to work.
Yes, for repayment of bringing you back to life.
Yeah, he's like, hey, I brought you back, so I need you to do some work for me for a little while.
So this guy gets interviewed by the news because he just shows up in the small town in Haiti. And
this is more recent?
This is 1980.
What?
Yeah, 1980.
Oh, I'm thinking old school.
No, this guy was there's TV interviews. You can go back and watch them.
What?
And he tells the story of I worked on the farm. I was dead. They dug me up hours after my burial. And he has a nail scar in his face from the coffin.
Oh my God.
So he ends up telling this news crew that there were 151 other zombies working there. And he worked there for 2 years.
He had a zombie farm?
He had a zombie farm. So this guy ended up bringing people back to the dead to work on his farm for him. Isn't that crazy?
What the fuck?
Yeah. There's also, they're real spiritual. So
Can you imagine the zombies forming a union?
yeah.
Unionizing against them?
Yeah.
No, listen, I know you brought me back to life, but
I'm going to need more vacation.
more vacation.
More
thanks.
PTO, please. Yeah, I don't think they had PTO. But yeah, he had a zombie farm.
Jesus.
So they have a lot of like different rituals in this. They believe in capturing a spirit or a soul. So that could be in a good way or a bad way. So if you're... There's called astral zombies too. Astral zombies are like, if you died, I'm going to call upon your spirit and you owe me a gratitude.
Oh, like you owe me a favor?
You owe me a favor. So then you work for me now.
Oh, jeez.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's kind of wild.
So yeah,
Seems like a lot of their religions like based on like servitude and like control. It's kind of nuts.
And they do like they'll use spirits though for good too. So to get knowledge or help in an issue, like I said, medicine, healing,
right.
ailments, they'll use spirits that way.
Did you ever watch Preacher on AMC?
No, I haven't.
There's a show called Preacher, and they do like a season in New Orleans, and they go to the voodoo shop.
Okay.
And they used to buy souls from people, and they would keep them in jars.
Really?
And then they were being put out of business, like by a large Catholic corporation
Oh, wow.
that was buying souls more efficiently than the old voodoo ways or whatever.
God.
It was pretty wild.
The Catholic Church always finds a way to make
Yeah,
money.
they made like extra like corporatist like.
Yep.
They had like, oh, souls are us, dude.
Yeah.
We're just gonna take like a fraction of your soul. And the voodoo's like, I can't even buy souls anymore. The corporations are taking them all.
They got them all. The Walmart of souls. Yeah, that's a wild one. They use human remains in rituals. So it's a way of maintaining contact with loved ones.
Yeah, I feel like you always like see that in like in all like the kind of rituals, even like the witch rituals and all these things. Like they always like take a piece of like somebody or like even like a piece of their clothing or like, oh, do you have anything that reminds you of them?
Right. Well, they don't believe in hell. There's heaven, but that's a thin veil, and hell is there. It doesn't exist in voodoo.
Okay.
They believe in a circle of life and death. So souls migrate into future generations.
Oh, wow.
So they believe that, like, oh, your great-grandmother died. You
Yeah.
continue to talk to her, and then she's going to be reborn as a new
Oh.
son or daughter.
Right.
So, and then they have a ton of voodoo deities. Snakes are real prevalent
Yeah.
in voodoo. Pythons, they're a source of positive power and link the dead to loved ones. The serpent bridges heaven and earth under one god. Damballa is their big deity that's their snake god or snake deity that they talk to.
Damballa.
Yep, and he's good luck. Usually, like everyone sees snakes as bad. Oh, they're evil.
Yeah.
They like Christians see snakes as the Adam and Eve story. The snake tempted Eve.
Right, and that's
It's
what I'm thinking.
evil.
It's like always represented as like knowledge.
Nope.
Like, yeah, don't get the knowledge and.
Nope. It's power and prosperity in voodoo.
But that's
Snakes.
kind of what the apple on the tree is. That the snake's trying to get Eve to take. Like,
Yeah.
hey, come see the knowledge of this. You
Well,
want
it
to
was-
know everything? Here it is.
Temptation. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
temptation. But in voodoo, the snake stands straight up instead of horizontally.
Like a line?
Yeah, they reach towards the heavens. They're like in all the symbols and everything, the snakes and voodoo and everything. Their snakes are always upright, like cobras, kind of like a cobra. would
Oh,
be, the
yeah,
way to
we're
look
like,
at it.
yeah.
That they're always a connection between heaven and the real earth.
Oh, wow.
So that's what they do. They got many animals contain magical powers. So animal sacrifice is real big in voodoo. There was a Supreme Court case in 1993 that a town in Florida was trying to ban it.
Yeah. Isn't there a lot of Santeria in Florida, too?
Santeria is a sister religion that's like Cuba.
Yeah, like Cuba. Yeah.
Cuba's real big in Santeria. So it's a sister religion. They're a little bit different that they pray to the saints. That's more based in Catholicism.
Okay.
Like, there's a connection in voodoo with crosses, but they believe a cross is like the crossroads of life and death.
Oh.
And that all comes with being French, and
yeah,
French were heavy Catholic.
Yeah.
So the Supreme Court ruled that it was a freedom of religion. You cannot ban voodoo in Florida. They were trying to ban voodoo in Florida. Because I guess there was a lot of animal sacrifices going on.
Oh, fuck.
So that gets us into Marie Laveau.
That's the big one.
The Queen of Voodoo in New Orleans.
Yeah.
So she was a high priestess, and she worked as a hairdresser. So
very meek, very
of
the people.
You would think very of the people, but she had a lot of elite customers.
Oh.
So they kind of say she's a little bit of a charlatan.
Oh.
A little bit, because she would use the info. So think about this. She would have all these rich people come in and get their hair done. White, black, it didn't matter. They all went to her.
Right.
They would go in and they would gossip.
Oh.
So she was like
soak it all up.
Soak it all up. And then all of a sudden she would also deal with the housekeepers, the maids that worked for the elite that used to come to her for
soak it up from them.
And soak it up from them. So she was like a power rod of influence and knowledge in the community. She was a devout Catholic too.
Yeah, that's what I always heard. That's what I always thought, like Christian and voodoo kind of go together.
Yep. She was a devout Catholic. She worked a lot of ministry. She worked with the poor. She had a ton of kids. I think she had up to 10 kids, they said.
Jeez.
She was well known and well paid for the spells and love charms that she gave to people.
It's kind of like at when you go into, what's it called, Supercuts, and then they're like, you want to buy the $50 shampoo that we got over here? Oh, yeah, this is the good stuff. Yeah, I got it behind the curtain over here.
This one will make your hair grow. Yeah, so she was a little, she played both ends of the stick.
Yeah.
A little bit. Now, voodoo dolls, right? Voodoo's like...
Yeah, the pins in the...
Yes. So that is based on wood figures called boccios.
Boccios?
Yep. They used to be wooden figures that people would carve. So they would carve like a little wooden figure, and they would tie like a piece of twine around it and put like a medicine or an herb in there.
Yeah.
And then they would have a nail that goes through like the forehead or the eye hole, and they would use it to like heal a certain part of the body.
Oh, that's crazy.
So
I always hear them as like, like handicapping people, like putting like stuff and like making their...
Well, that goes back to if you
use it for good or use it for bad, right?
Use it for bad. They turned into dolls, though, because the wooden figures were banned by the slave owners.
Because it could be like a weapon?
Well, they were afraid of voodoo.
Oh.
So
they started making it easier.
They didn't want to get cursed. They didn't want the demon. They didn't want it. So they would ban the boccios.
Yeah.
So the slaves started making dolls that would blend in, and they wouldn't be able to point out like, oh, you have a wood carved figure. If you had the wood carved figure, you would be...
So they were that afraid of it?
You would be sentenced to death. They would kill you.
Yeah, they're like, we're not even going to fuck around with that.
So the rag dolls were easy to conceal. That's where the basis of the voodoo doll is.
Really?
Yep.
I never would have thought.
Yeah, they were from wood figures called boccios.
Yeah, it's crazy how much fear is like surrounded by like voodoo.
Yeah, tons. Even into the 50s and 60s and 70s, there's
a
lot of movies about it based in...
Like fear-mongering movie.
Right.
Like voodoo is...
Demonology and all that.
Creating zombies, satanic panic.
So the crazy...
They mix it in.
Yeah.
Even though it has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, that was like the 80s satanic panic.
Yeah,
That was a little bit later. But they believed in... So they limited like their access to the wood figure. They tried separating them from their culture beyond, I'll forget this. They used to have a thing where when they would capture them in Benin, in Africa, they would walk them around a tree that they would put like a hex on them that they would forget their homeland. They would make them do a hex on themselves to forget where they came from.
What?
Where they originated from before they put them on a slave ship. So yeah, they used to do some fucking dark shit with them. Marie Laveau, I think her most famous story is in 1852. She started visiting two men that were jailed. So she did a lot of work with the Catholic Church. probably dealing with prisoners, dealing with
she's always reaching
poor.
out for people, helping people
food
out.
pantries. I guess she was real prevalent with that. Everybody said, like, if you go on like the guided tour in New Orleans,
all her ministries are
they speak so highly of her.
Right.
They say that she was a saintly woman. She wasn't evil at all. It's nothing but positivity. So she started visiting these two men in jail, and on their execution day, a storm rolls in, and the noose ends up slipping off their necks, and they are able to escape.
What?
So did she help them in some way with a spell or enchantment, or?
Does she work for DARPA?
Yeah, she's controlling the weather.
Yeah.
She's doing smoke signals up there, pumping H2O into the atmosphere.
Make it. Oh, that's nuts.
As a result of that, Louisiana ended public executions. That was the last public execution ever instated by the state of Louisiana.
So they don't do the death penalty in Louisiana?
I guess not. Well, at least public.
Oh, okay.
So there was no more public hanging like how they used to do them in 1852.
Like in the town square or whatever.
Yeah, there was no more of that.
That's crazy.
She used to have like a gathering hall.
Yeah.
That they would do voodoo on, and then she would also do it in like the town square, where they would dance and celebrate and everything.
What?
Yeah, it was a crazy
So
time.
she like saved people on death row.
Yep.
Or well, we don't know, but there was a coincidence that
she
after visiting them, their noose slipped and they were able to escape.
She was talking to them.
Yeah.
Do you think it's evil?
Voodoo?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's interesting.
You think it's interesting?
I think it's interesting. I can't wait to go to Louisiana. I've been talking about going to New Orleans forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was planning to go on my 30th birthday, and then COVID happened.
Damn COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I want to go.
New Orleans is an interesting place.
Yeah, that's all you hear about it, is how just noisy and wild it is. That's not a place to have a hangover. For as much as they drink, you just wake up to...
A parade out your door.
But I guess that's only really like the French Quarter and like the main stretch.
Well, I mean, a lot of like everybody says like, oh, it's Mardi Gras. No, they have parades like for months.
Yeah,
like
New Orleans, like that is just a party there.
Yeah,
that entire stretch,
and it's never on Bourbon Street.
No,
like a parade never goes down Bourbon Street.
Really?
Yeah, it's all on the side streets. It's leading up to Mardi Gras. Oh. Everybody thinks, oh, there's a parade. No, it's just the party. The party's on Bourbon Street. But the parades and everything, where they're marching, where they got floats, that's all on the sides. That's all in different neighborhoods. Each neighborhood has a little different S to it and a little different.
That's kind of crazy.
A take on Mardi Gras.
I gotta see it. I want to go. I want to go so bad, dude. I've heard like you have to go to Mardi Gras before you die. Yeah, at least once.
That's the touristy thing to do. They also practice divination.
Oh, we were just did an episode on this. I love divination.
Well, their way of doing it is that they would do like seashells. So they would shake up a bag of seashells and throw them out onto a table and read your message through however the shells landed.
See, this is crazy to me. All these cultures have divination. So we talked about like the Jingqi in China or whatever. They threw the bundle of sticks.
Right.
Like some people look at tea leaves. Some people look at this. It's like there are so many versions of this in so many different societies. And it's just like, how is there nothing to it? Like if it's that like it's not like they got this from China. Like if everyone does it, there has to be some kind of truth in it.
Yeah, it was before the internet.
Right, yeah, they're not communicating. Like,
no. Yeah, it was.
There has to be some truth in it.
Yeah,
because how common is it for you to just wake up and be like, "I'm going to throw some stuff on the ground," and that's what it means. And
right, it seems like every culture has something with
like a predict the future,
foresight, or
you
would look at this like if you go to a voodoo priestess or priest. They look at it as a map of not where you are going, but how you're going to get there. So they don't give you the where you end up or like the lottery numbers, like how a lot of people say, "Oh, well, give me the lottery number." No, it's how do you get to the lottery numbers?
Right,
what path do you take to get to those lottery numbers? Another thing, a lot of things deal in possession. It's what makes it evil.
Oh.
So during if you would go to a voodoo mass, I guess you would call it a voodoo mass.
You could allow like the deities inside your body?
No.
Oh.
The only person that gets the deity inside the body is the priest or the priestess.
Oh, because they can contain it?
So you'll see them have multiple drums.
Yeah.
And every drum beat is for a different entity.
Oh.
So, like, if they're banging it this way, and they use that as, like, a vibrational lifeline
for them to come over. Oh, that's crazy.
So, whatever the movement is.
I dig that.
Whatever the dance is that people are doing.
Yeah.
Whatever offering you have. So, a lot of places, like, if you go to a voodoo mass, they'll have, like, a celebration. They'll lay out, like, a spread of, like, pink cake or barbecue ribs or a can of Coca-Cola. And it's like, what color is the entity? Which one is the favorite entity? Oh, they used to like Coca-Colas. I want to talk to them.
What?
And they would come through. So when they come through, the priest or the priestess goes into like a trance. And it could last anywhere. Some trances last 12 hours. And they're speaking, but it's not the priest. It is the entity.
Oh, that's insane. That's kind of like Insidious, dude, leaving your body, and then the things from the other side are coming into the body.
So then when the priest or the priestess comes back,
yeah,
they just feel like they were in a long sleep. They don't remember anything from the ceremony.
Oh, man, I'd be scared it wasn't going to let me back in.
Wouldn't that be? Well, some of them do get a little scared, depending on who they're reaching out to.
Yeah, because why wouldn't that thing want to keep your body?
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah. So it becomes a temple.
Yeah, I'm voting to ban voodoo in Florida. No, I'm just kidding.
No, they say, where did I put this? They say white people go to church to speak to God, speak about God. We dance in the temple and become God.
Oh, fuck.
Is what voodoo priests say.
That's so crazy, though, because you hear
one?
so much Catholicism tied in with voodoo.
Yeah.
Like, you just wonder where, like, the crossover is.
I think with, like, crosses and the life and death thing. Like, I mean, their veil is a lot thinner.
Right.
Then
we're not as far. We're farther away from.
Yeah, they think that once you die, you're not dead.
Right.
That your spirit continues on, but in this realm, like very close to the living.
Right.
Where we think, oh, you go to heaven or you're going to hell, or
yeah.
They don't believe in that. They just believe you're going to get basically reincarnated eventually through new family members.
Oh.
So it's a crazy religion, man.
Yeah.
It's very spiritual. I thought it was pretty interesting, especially with it like based in song and dance. Like, and there's no
how much
text.
rhythm and stuff.
And that's the crazy thing, how you were saying about divination. There's no like playbook to go on.
Right.
Like, it's all passed down. It's all passed down to generations and how to read.
So that just makes you think, like, 300 years. We don't know, like, 300 years ago. We just don't know. We can't comprehend it.
Oh, what is it?
The kids today can't even comprehend, like, the 50s and 60s. Like,
I know.
There's no way, like, we could comprehend what was happening 300 years ago.
The big problem with today, too, is people just ingest nonsense.
Right.
Welcome to this podcast. They don't read anymore.
Yeah.
Everybody just looks at the 30-second clip on TikTok.
Yeah.
Everybody looks into the YouTube video.
Right.
There's no, like, oh, hey, I'm going to sit down and read about the French Revolution. Like, no one can tell you about the French Revolution.
And it's so funny. Like, we always talk about horror movies on this podcast. How many, like, montages in horror movies is, like, the girl going into the library and looking at the old, like, newspaper reels on the, like, the lit up thing and, like, researching and finding things.
Yep.
Like, no one does that anymore.
No.
Yeah. No, if a demon haunted you, dude, I'd be looking for YouTube videos on how to get rid of this demon.
Yeah,
or I'd be Googling, like, hey,
how do I get
dude's got a demon. How do I get it out?
How do I get Ghostbusters?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing, man. Like I said,
You think there's any exorcist on LinkedIn?
I'm sure I would just pay a trip to the church at that point. I think that would probably be the best place to go. But we'll get into New Orleans now and the creepy places and stories about that. Oh, actually, I'll tell you about Marie Laveau's tomb. So her tomb...
Madame Marie Laveau.
Marie Laveau.
These names are very hard to say. We're going to struggle today.
I'm not French at all.
Madame Marie Laveau.
Yep. So her tomb is located in the oldest cemetery in New Orleans. It's called St. Louis 1. So it was constructed in like 1870.
Sounds like a spaceship.
Here's a crazy fact about it. It holds 700 tombs but there's 100,000 bodies buried in these 700 tombs.
What?
Yeah. So you would always think like a mausoleum, like you look at it.
Yeah.
And it would be like, oh, I'm going to put, there's a body in there.
Right.
These, they kind of look like backyard sheds almost. Some are bigger, some are monstrous. I mean, some are huge.
Yeah.
And you would think, oh, there's one. Man, why does this guy need such a big thing? And I guess they put bodies in these tombs, and there's on a grate. So when you put the body in there, they have to sit in there to Louisiana law for 1 year and 1 day. And as time goes on, they bake in the Louisiana sun.
What?
And when they decompose, they go through the grate and into like a pit of bones, which is the final tomb. So you'll have full-on families in one tomb. Like in Marie Laveau's, she has 80 people in her tomb.
And then all the skin just bakes away and the bones just fall through?
As you decompose.
That's metal as fuck.
And here's a crazier thing. They have a waiting wall in there.
Yeah.
So if you die, and then all of a sudden, let's say your wife is getting buried with you.
Yeah.
Your wife's body that she died 6 months after you would be put in the waiting tomb until your body is decomposed enough to fall in, and they can't crack it open for 1 year and 1 day.
So it sits there for a year before they can put in the next one.
Till they put in the next one, till they crack it back open and put another body in.
That's a crazy system.
Kind of wild, huh?
That's the horror movie shit right
That's
there.
horror
That's
movie.
a crazy system.
So if you ever go on, you got to take a tour, because some of them I heard that are like $2. You pay $2 to get in. You can't just go to the cemetery because they vandalism and people doing rituals.
I could imagine everyone was coming to Laveau for everything, for healing, for power, for everything.
So if you go to her tomb, the expectation, I don't know about expectation, but the rumor is if you scratch an X with a red brick into her tomb, you knock on the door 3 times.
You had to spin around too, right?
No spinning.
I thought it was spin 3 times and then hit.
Sure,
knock.
we'll say spin.
Something like that.
Yeah, pin the tail on a donkey.
Yeah.
And then you say a prayer or ask for a favor or make a wish. If your wish comes true, you then have to go back to her tomb and place it with a gift for thank you.
Yeah.
Common courtesy. Maybe you send her a postcard. Hopefully she gets it. If you don't, you are then cursed.
Oh, that's a wild thing to do. She'd be like, I got you, and then you don't say thank you, and she's just like, all right.
Yeah, very spiteful. But I kind of agree. Where's your manners?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah, you got to. If you're getting...
It's got to take a lot of pull in the afterlife to,
Yeah.
to do something for you.
Yeah, to come through.
Yeah.
But then again, maybe she's still here. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Her daughter, after Marie Laveau died, her daughter ended up assuming her name.
Right.
And being Marie Laveau number 2. And she ended up keeping the family business going.
Yeah, keep it going.
She was doing the spell.
You have to circle the X too, right? If the favor comes through, I think
Yeah.
you're supposed to circle your X.
Sure, you could get into all the minute details.
Yeah.
I
think that's kind of interesting. You got to draw an X, and then if it comes true, you circle the X like it worked.
But the thing is, some people say if you put 3 X's on there, that it's where whatever she did in her past life is where she's going to experience in her current life. So if she was a bad person in her past life, she's going to be a bad person, and it's kind of like placing a curse on her if you do 3 X's.
What?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I saw, but I just know the red brick, make an X, and then make sure you give a gift.
That's wild.
All right, so also in that cemetery, we got a famous movie actor.
A famous?
Nicolas Cage.
Oh, I love Nick Cage.
So I guess the people of New Orleans aren't a fan of him that much.
Oh, really?
But he paid $275,000 to build a tomb in this cemetery, in the same cemetery.
How the hell is he allowed to buy land in a New Orleans cemetery?
I guess he went to a psychic, and the psychic said to buy land in New Orleans to revamp his career in like 2008 or 2008 or 2010, somewhere in that time period.
Like to kick up his popularity again?
Yeah,
they were like, you got to go buy land in New Orleans.
to rejuvenate his career. I mean, to make a hit movie, I guess, like a I mean, when was the last time since Hellboy? I can't think of a fucking...
I don't think he was in Hellboy. Matchstick Men was my favorite, but I don't think that was a big movie.
Yeah, how long ago was that, though?
That was a long time ago.
But, like...
But he was in a lot of big movies.
National Treasure.
National Treasure.
Yeah, but that was 20-something years ago already.
No, 10 maybe.
10?
Yeah, National Treasure?
No, dude, I'm thinking like 2002, man.
10? And now he's a horror movie guy.
Well, that explains it.
He's in with it. Well, yeah, I guess if you're going to psychics and buying land in cemeteries.
That explains it.
You start doing horror movies.
So he ended up having to exhume 2 bodies out of his placement of his tomb. Because there were 2 bodies there.
He took them up?
They exhumed them, and I guess they put them in the Catholic Charities tomb. They tried contacting family members or whatever.
Dude, how crazy you got to be to buy land in New Orleans and be like, yeah, those bodies, we're going to move them.
It's not only crazy. He ends up building a 9-foot tall pyramid in the cemetery that says Omnia ab uno. Everything from one. So what the fuck does that mean? Is that some Freemasonry
Everything
shit?
From one.
Everything from one.
Wasn't there a pyramid in National Treasure?
Yeah, I guess it was from National Treasure. Everything from one was one of the clues in National Treasure. Well, he engraved this into the tomb that he built for himself.
Is that where he's going to be buried, you think?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
so he literally bought like a burial plot.
Yeah, he bought a burial plot for $275,000.
In Louisiana.
In the oldest cemetery.
And took some other bodies out and made way for him.
And moved them, yep. Little weird.
That's insane.
Another creepy story. I guess he also owned Madame Delphine Lalaurie.
Lalaurie.
There you go.
It was like Madame Blanc or something, too. She had like another name. She's one of the most famous serial killers of all time.
Yeah, she was a torture queen.
Absolutely crazy. We're talking 1828. This woman was investigated for crimes against enslaved individuals in Louisiana.
Yeah, she was a psycho.
So how fucked up do you have to be in 1828 to get people to be like, you got to stop doing that to your slaves?
Yeah, and that was just a reach out to like, hey, you got to stop that.
Yeah.
Well, the real discovery came when her house set on fire.
Yeah.
And the fire department ended up finding out about her torture chamber in her attic, where they found 7 slaves
mutilated. Complete, like she fucked up their bodies. She like cut them up. She tortured them.
Now, you might know her from American Horror Story, Coven.
Yeah, Kathy Bates. Kathy
Bates' character was Madame Delphine
Lalaurie.
Lalaurie. And there's also another crazy story with a man that lived in the house somewhere in the 1900s that would hear voices to tell him to do horrible acts. And he ended up killing himself.
So there's going back to like our mimics and stuff. Like there has to be such negative energy in that place.
Baked into that foundation.
Like straight torture.
Yeah.
Like you got to think that has to create some fucking dense evil.
Yeah, I'm sure that's not a healthy place to stay at night.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to.
No, I'm out on that one.
That one's a little too dark for me.
And she's like right in like the main stretch too, right? She's like right in
she's right in the French Quarter.
Yeah.
This place I wouldn't mind going though. Café du Monde. It's a famous restaurant where I guess they
get the beignets.
They got a beignet. You go, sit down, have a nice order. A waiter comes up to you, asks you if you want a coffee, drink. What do you want? You place your order. Boom. All of a sudden your food doesn't show up. No one ever took your order.
They're like, what are you talking about?
It's a ghost waiter.
Just somebody waiting on people.
That's a pretty cool story. I wouldn't mind going to Café du Monde.
That might be from our Halloween episode. We talked about being doomed to hell. This is just like some waiter that really hated his job, and now he has to continue being a waiter for all eternity.
Dealing with a bunch of
drunk tourists.
Yeah, drunk tourists all day. Hungry, hungover. They don't know what the hell.
Yeah, how can I help you?
They're trying to pronounce French names.
Yeah. Can I get the bangets?
Yeah, the Le Laurie. You ever been to a Le Laurie house? Yeah, so that's a ghost waiter. There's Le Petit Theater.
Petit.
There we go. I guess there was an actress that ended up falling off a balcony. And I guess if you go there and you go out on the balcony, let's say during Mardi Gras, hold on to the railing because people claim to be being pushed.
When you're standing up there.
Pushed up there. Which is kind of crazy.
So there you go. Is that remainder of trauma, her getting pushed off the thing? Does that just stay there forever now? Like, or maybe she's just like, I got pushed, I'm going to push other people?
Push other people, just spiteful.
Yeah, or maybe she was pushed by a spirit that's even older.
Yep. We also have the Faulkner house.
Faulkner, As I Lay Dying is probably the only book I remember reading.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
There was a great quote in there. I forgot what the quote was.
I love the Southern Gothic. Yeah. There's something about like the Southern Gothic where you take like the most grotesque things and you make it like kind of funny-ish, and like it's like you take something that's completely absurd, but you take it seriously.
Yep.
Like everyone in the story treats it seriously, but it's like, oh, the coffin's talking. Like, but like everyone treats it like that's like a normal thing, and you just go about like the Southern Gothic is my favorite. If I ever made horror movies, I always wanted to do the Southern Gothic.
I like it
because it's divorced from the reality, but it's in reality.
Right.
So it's like everyone takes everything completely seriously, but there happens to be a guy here who has two heads, and he's just treated like a normal person that's just in the place.
Totally normal. Just another day on the plantation.
Yeah, exactly.
He wrote Soldier's Pay there, his claim to fame.
That's how he started, yeah.
I guess they turned it into a bookstore now. So the creepy thing is Faulkner books end up on the floor all the time.
He's just taking his books off the shelf. Like, look at this one. Check this one out.
Probably, yeah. Selling his own books in death.
Yeah. Dude, the ultimate fucking promoter.
Yes. This is a cool one. There's the old Absinthe House where Andrew Jackson, Stonewall Jackson, during the War of 1812.
Which is crazy because we talked about Andrew Jackson going to that house in the Bell Witch.
Bell Witch.
So Andrew Jackson's into ghost shit.
He's into ghosts. He was down there to fight in the Battle of New Orleans in 1812, and he wanted a lay of the land. So he reached out to a infamous pirate named Jean Lafitte. I got that one right.
Oh.
And Andrew Jackson wanted to know the backwaters, where to corner the enemy, what's my escape routes, try to pre-plan his battle.
Dude, how crazy is it that fucking 200 years ago, you don't have MapQuest. You had to go find a pirate in Louisiana to tell you where things were.
Yeah, this drunk and pillaging man
that
was wanted, actually, for death.
Really?
Yes.
He's on the run.
He ended up partying him.
And he's like, you know who you got to talk to? You got to talk to Fini or whatever the fuck his name
Lafitte.
is. Lafitte. You got to talk to Lafitte. He's going to give you the rundown.
Yeah,
he'll tell you where everything is.
He'll tell you where to skedaddle.
Yeah.
He's pretty good at finding the back ways out. So he knew the swamps and everything around Louisiana. So
insane.
They met with each other, and I guess at this pub, you see the pirate man. He's in multiple photographs, just sitting at the bar, waiting. Andrew Jackson, I guess, has been photographed at the bar. So that's an eerie place if you're heading to New Orleans.
They just pop up in photos when people are taking selfies.
Just pop up.
Andrew Jackson and pirates are behind you.
Wine bottles will crash off the wall.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I mean, it's a 250-year-old pub in the middle of New Orleans.
Yeah, and they serve absinthe, which is already like a psychedelic, right?
They used to serve it. I don't know if they still do, but yeah, that was a little hallucinogenic.
Have you ever had absinthe? I've never tried it.
No. I don't even know.
Do you think it actually works?
Where would I even get it?
Do you think it's actually hallucinogenic? I heard it's kind of bullshit.
I mean, why wouldn't it be? I mean, I could drink ayahuasca. Ayahuasca's a tea.
Yeah, but I think the absinthe thing was like overblown. Like it never actually worked like people thought it did.
I don't know. I mean, it's just like if you get the venom.
Oh, it's made from leaves and flowers.
Yeah, okay, yeah. There's definitely hallucinogenic properties.
It has been linked to hallucinogenic effects. People who drink it often experience seizures, hallucination, vision problems, and cognitive issues.
Yeah.
So probably the ones they make now
don't have anything to do.
Don't have anything good in it. Like that would cause that.
Unless you go to Costa Rica.
Yeah, we gotta like make it in our backyard, dude.
Yeah.
Should we start an absinthe farm?
No, I'm all right. I'm for a mushroom farm though. I've been watching this thing in Telluride, Colorado.
Yeah.
And they have a mushroom festival every year, which seems pretty interesting.
Oh, Jesus.
They celebrate fungi. They dress up in fungi and everything.
That sounds like voodoo.
It's a bunch of like hippies. just telling you about mushrooms and taking psychedelics at this festival in beautiful Telluride, Colorado. Hey, I'd do it.
Yeah.
All right, the last one. I have the Sultan's Palace. A sultan is like a king, royalty.
Yeah.
From like an Arabian country. So he was from Turkey. They said over a dozen wives he came here with. So he ends up buying a mansion. Very wealthy man.
I'm surprised they allowed like, what is it, wifery. What's it called? I don't know. I'm surprised they allowed that in Louisiana in the, the 1800s?
Yeah, right around 1800, late 1800s.
Yeah, I'm surprised they allowed them to do that.
Yeah, I guess.
I guess you just don't know shit, dude. People move into your town and you just see, like, you don't know.
It's the Big Easy.
That's true.
It's the Big Easy.
That's true.
So a guy walking down the street in the French Quarter realized that there was something dripping from this balcony up top. You know how they all have the balconies.
Yeah.
In the French Quarter and everything.
Polygamy. That's what it was. Polygamy.
It's freedom of religion here, buddy, in the United States.
I still don't think polygamy is legal in most places.
Utah,
definitely. The Utes.
But there was a man walking down the street, realized that there was blood dripping down. So he runs and gets the police right away. They go into this house, and I forgot to say that the Sultan had parties all the time, and the neighbors used to get like upset with him because he was loud. There was music. 12 women walking around the house.
Right.
God knows what he's doing up there with all the women.
Right.
And it was always the place to be. Maybe people are getting upset that they weren't invited to the parties.
Yeah.
But he was always having a party. Well, this one day, a guy finds the blood dripping from the balcony, goes, gets the police. Police go in there, and they find the most brutal massacre they have ever seen. Torsos split open at the rim.
What?
Heads beheaded.
Oh, this story took a turn.
Everybody is dead. The place is just covered in blood.
Including the Sultan?
So much blood that it was dripping into the streets. They go into the courtyard, and they see a hand sticking up in the ground. They start digging it up, and it's the Sultan that was buried alive.
What?
In the courtyard.
They buried him alive? We don't know who buried him alive.
There's rumors saying that it was his brother out of jealousy, but I don't know.
What the hell? He may have been so jealous that you just slaughter up a party and bury your brother alive?
Maybe he wasn't invited. Maybe he was sick of his brother having a good time all the time.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So that was those are my ghost stories, and that's my take on voodoo.
Yeah, I want to see Louisiana. Like I said, that's one of the places I always look at.
Oh, there's tons of places. I mean, there's Baton Rouge. I mean, there's
I also
Plantation.
just think like living in the Bible Belt, like down there in the middle of nowhere, dude. You get your Victorian mansion for like $80,000, and you get like 20 acres, dude. Out in you have to be in the swampland. It's not like not in like the main towns, and you're not touching anywhere in New Orleans or Baton Rouge or any of those places. But there's a lot of places in Louisiana that are backwoods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you could find some old farmhouses.
Like our what's our horror movie that we always watch?
The Last Exorcism.
The Last Exorcism. I love it.
Yeah, where he's the charlatan preacher.
He's like the preacher who's like starting to lose faith in God.
Oh, I think he lost faith in
God. He lost faith in God by the end. It was so great. He's like, I bet you I can get these people to say amen.
Yep.
And he was like, if you put butter in a pan and you bake it for 35 minutes on 350 Fahrenheit, it will become apple pie. Can I get an amen?
Amen. Amen.
It's a phenomenal movie. I love that movie, actually.
It was pretty good. And then there's the cult.
Yeah. And he's like, I think he's abusing the daughter and stuff and all this. And then
they were sacrificing her.
Then no, she was actually like she was actually possessed.
It was good. It was good. I just think of her in the barn that day.
Yeah. Well, they made a sequel. It's actually in New Orleans.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they use like all the imagery in New Orleans is like super connected to like horror.
Really?
Like, yeah, it's just it screams horror. All the like the painted people on the streets, But yeah, the people like paint their faces. You got all the imagery of the different religions. You got all the horror tours, the ghost tours. You got all that stuff. Like New Orleans is such like a backdrop for like the scary.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
On top of like party.
Yeah, it's just one of those
drunks.
It's one of those old cities though. It's like the cobblestone streets. It's narrow. It's old. The buildings are old. The architecture's old. Like,
isn't architecture so much better, dude? I hate looking at new houses.
No, it's terrible. Everything is so simplified and no characteristic to it.
None.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's really like I don't know.
It's just everything's built cheap now.
And we were thinking like this is like if I ever make some money, you know, I gotta pay off my house and do whatever. But like if I was ever to build a house, dude, I'd want to build like a Victorian house. But does it even have the character if you just make the inside fucking like soulless? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you won't be able to afford to build a Victorian house though. You need $20 million nowadays.
$20 million
to build a Victorian house the way they had. Like the woodworking alone on like a hand railing or
I know It's just a little shit, dude. Like
exactly, it would be impossible to find. Like you go to an old house, dude, that's built in 1870. Yeah, and you look at the intricacies of like.
I know that's the crazy thing, dude. Is you could go to Kansas and buy one for $100,000. Right. Like I could go buy like a 3,000 square foot like Victorian house
for cheap
for like $100,000.
And hopefully you get insurance on it, so when the tornado takes it away,
you're
good.
Yeah, knock on wood.
But if it's been there 100 years, you're out
right. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is it gonna hit now? Only if the government decides they want it to.
It's only if the government's coming after you, geoengineering it. But yeah, it's a cool city, and the whole state's pretty cool. Like I mean, the swampland and the bayou you had. I mean, there's so many cool hidden.
Yeah, it just seems like it would have a lot of stories.
A lot of stories. A lot of history,
and a lot of like non-technology related stories, like non-city related stories. Yes. Like everything's related to like, oh, like did you hear about Bobby Joe's? It'd definitely be an interesting place to visit. Yeah,
interesting. You got Shreveport. I mean, you got a lot of places, man.
Yeah, go to LSU games, dude.
Yeah, Baton Rouge. That's Baton Rouge.
Yeah, Death Valley.
Yeah, right. Death Valley. Think about that. But they were based all in. But even like New Orleans too. Like you know how you always said like, oh, I want to go there for Bourbon Street. I want to go there for the World War II museum.
Oh yeah, that's big down there too. Yeah, a lot of history, like a very historical city.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of culture.
Yeah,
and it's different.
Exactly, it feels different from society. You know, they like have a whole different set of laws. Like they follow Napoleonic law. Like it's the only state that like
based in French.
Like most cops like you come from another state. It's a completely different set of law.
Well, you got
and it's more black and white. Like it's more like this is what the crime said, so this is what you do.
Right.
They also have a lot of problems with private prisons in Louisiana that are a little for cash.
I'm sure
there's a lot of those problems there. But
yeah, private prisons. That's not a good thing.
Yeah, it's a little rough.
That's not a good thing.
No.
But like I said, every state has a black eye.
Yep.
But that one definitely sounds pretty interesting to go and spend a couple of days there.
Yeah, I'm definitely in for that one.
Just to go on the ghost walk.
Yeah, even just to see some of this stuff. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for listening to this episode. Please follow us on Twitter. Where else are we?
Apple, Spotify, YouTube.
TikTok.
Yeah,
if you want to check out the horror movies.
Rate us, guys. 5 stars. We greatly appreciate it.
And we'll read your reviews.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
See ya.